throw balls far. You want good words? Data language.
Talk real sports with a real man.
Come after me! I'm a man! I'm 40!
And now, here's the be-all, end-all, know-it-all of high school, college, and pro sports. Aaron Skinny Count with the Skinny on Sports.
We're talking about practice, man. I'm the MVP.
Good Wednesday morning out there, Western Oklahoma. Welcome to the Skinny on Sports right here on 98.1 FM, The Sports Animal. Glad to have you along for the next hour. Man, we got all kinds of stuff we can get into. Some NFL notes if we want to go that way. There's history being made this weekend. Any idea?
In the NFL?
Yeah, if you pull this one off, it's pretty either saw what I saw or is a really lucky guess. That's pretty obscure what's happening this week in the NFL.
Does it have to do with Christmas?
No.
I have no clue.
Looks like Tommy DeVito is a pretty good dude and his agent isn't. Do you see this?
Gee, the agent dresses up like a good fella and he's not a good dude?
I think did Peyton got in trouble for saying his nickname was like Slimy on the Monday night football broadcast. He had to apologize. The guy was like, nobody called me Slimy. And then all those college buddies like, yeah, not to your face. Everybody called you Slimy. So he continues with that nickname. But Tommy DeVito did a nice thing yesterday.
So you think I'm funny? Why do you think I'm funny?
Hey, I might have figured out, might in big, bold letters. But I might have figured out the tiebreak for Dallas and Philly.
Did you figure it out? Okay.
I might have.
Big asterisk there.
Well, it's a moving target.
Okay.
If they both win out. I'll tell you what that means.
I'm curious what that results.
It's
what
crazy.
That means.
It's not. It's still like I said. It can change from now until the end of the year.
Okay.
Even with them both winning.
Okay.
This is more like a college football thing than an NFL thing normally. Because they're clear down to the fifth tiebreaker.
They're not going to change the rules like the Big 12.
Well,
did,
I don't know.
They?
It just depends. It depends on if somebody else wins or something. But it's clear down to the fifth tiebreak, and that has kind of moving parts. Let's see. Tonight you got Sooners in North Carolina, number 7 versus number 11.
I'm looking forward to this.
Last night was a good night for OU when it comes to NCAA tournament. You know why?
No.
I
was kind of just, oddly enough, I was paying attention to the women's game, OU and North Carolina women. But they start like at 9:30.
Yeah. Tell you why that last night was a good night if you're an OU fan.
Okay.
Also, early bracketology. Where are the Sooners there? It is signing day in college football. There has been a massive flip.
Oh, yeah?
Not concerning anybody here, but a massive win for Matt Rule and the Nebraska Cornhuskers. Massive win.
Is it, though?
Yes, it's a massive.
Is it?
Absolutely.
Is it in a year from now a massive win?
It is a massive win. Just to make them relevant. They're different than some of the other teams. They need what happened today.
Apparently somebody was listening to him when he said
$2 million.
We need this much money.
Like Mark said, it was like an altar call. And the Nebraska fans showed up. So good on them.
Somebody shucked some extra corn to get some extra money.
Good on them. All right, here's what I'm going to do today. I'm going to make you the college football czar, and you can change the sport however you want. You, the listeners, whoever, change it however you want. That's why I had to use the back of my paper to get to this.
Oh, wow.
How I would want to change it.
You got some notes going on.
Yes. You got to change. You can change it however you want. Make college football how you want and in your mind better than it is right now. Thunder, we'll hit a little bit of that maybe at the top of the show as well. 17-8 through the first 25. That's like a 55-win pace. I don't know if they get there, but they might. Big week ahead inside the Paycom we talked about. We never got to the trades. Do you think there will be one? Who would you do? All that kind of stuff with the Thunder. 225-9698. Oh, and also, we didn't have a repeat last night of what we saw last year on the high school basketball hardwood. And maybe we should have, if you're one side, because they were a hell of a lot closer to winning that game last year than they were this year. 225-9698 is the phone or the text line. That is 225-9698. Give us a call, shoot us a text. We can talk about any of those things or whatever else might be on your mind. Feel free to chime right in at 225-9698. If you're going to be outside the listening area, stay in touch with the show a couple of ways. Log on to kadsam.com or download the app. The app's got it all. It's got radio. It's got the Penny News. You can check out the brand new edition of the Penny News right now online, thepennynews.com or through the app. Print edition will start filtering out sometime this evening. By tomorrow, you'll have a fresh copy of the Penny News in your hands. Big Elk and Paragon TV, off till after Christmas, except for next week, a week from tomorrow. The Oilerettes of Merritt down at the Bertha Frank Teague in Ada. It's an 8 o'clock start against Bing in the first game on the 28th. That's a Thursday. So after that, though, then that next week, man.
8 p.m., right?
8 p.m.,
right.
yeah. Well, yeah.
Just making sure. You never know.
8 p.m., last game of the night, which means it may not be at 8.
8:30.
Yeah.
I don't know. I didn't see
goes.
how much
Hour
time
and a
they
half.
put between the game.
Hour and a half.
A whole out game, an hour. I think you can make that.
Depends on who's calling the fouls, so I'm going to tell you.
Not true.
And how slow the game grinds to a halt. Also, Skinny on Sports Podcast, available anywhere podcasts drop. How are you today?
I'm good. I'm really good. I'm really looking forward to Christmas.
Why?
I don't know. I just want to get through this week.
We got almost all the shopping done yesterday at lunch.
Did it?
Kara and I.
Did you?
Yes.
Good. Congratulations.
Yes, we did.
At lunch.
We were buzzing around this town. Just zing, 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 all different places.
Pretty good.
And we did get it finished. So this is great news for me because now the stress is off of her.
I got added pressure this morning.
Uh-oh.
My wife said, "You done shopping?" I said, "I'm pretty sure I am." She goes, "What about my stocking?"
What about it?
I'm like, "Well, okay. So you're responsible for my stocking."
Actually, no, Santa is. Thank you very much.
That's right. But I'm responsible for letting Santa know what goes in the stocking. And come on, kids are still asleep. It's Christmas break. They're still asleep, right?
Well, anyhow, it's Santa's job to fill that stocking.
That's right. And I have some stuff.
That was
in
Jared
there.
saying elsewhere. That Aaron Skinny
I never
said Santa fills the stocking. Let's just make that abundantly clear. Jared's this wild man too, talking all this other noise.
I have stuff in there, or Santa has stuff in there, and now I feel like I got pressure to put more stuff in there. You got any good ideas for stocking stuffers outside of just like candy?
Whatever Santa puts in there, Jared.
Well, what should Santa put in there?
If it was me,
Maybe like gift cards or something?
if it was me, I would be hoping that Santa would put in about 100 of those little Reese's Christmas trees.
Oh, those are great.
That's what I'd be looking for.
A lump of coal from the text line.
That's probably what Sam's getting.
Yes.
He's very familiar with the lump of coal in
There's
his stocking.
A lot of people deserve that this year.
Oh, I know what this is going to be without even looking. Tucker Family Beef Sticks. Sure enough, there it is. I knew for sure when I saw that name pop up.
Not a bad idea.
Hey, that's actually a very good idea. A very good idea.
Growing up, Santa always put in my stocking candy.
You know what I get?
You know
what
candy.
Santa brings me?
What's that?
Like toothpaste and maybe socks and like deodorant.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what I get.
Stuff like that. I mean, the big presents are wrapped up and under the tree. Stockings are just for that stuff.
I'd take some Tucker Family Beef Sticks.
I love that idea.
Either brand or either flavor.
You could fit a fillet in there.
Our stockings are huge.
Exactly. There's some big stockings. You could fit some good cuts of beef in there. Maybe that's what I should do.
Maybe a whole tenderloin slip down through there, depending on how big your stocking is. Now we're talking.
I think we're onto something here.
Just have to figure out a way that Santa can keep it not from getting too warm on his flight.
So I thought this whole time I was done. And I've been avoiding going to any big store this week because I just know every time I go it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, we're going to go. Think about this.
You know what you can't find in this store, by the way?
What?
Speaking of candy, Boston baked beans.
Oh.
My wife loves those.
Oh, really?
I can't find them anywhere.
I don't.
Is that a seasonal candy?
I don't know. I have no idea.
Might be too late to order it online to get it here in time.
They still make them?
I'm sure. Anyways, what were you going to say?
Yeah, about going to store. We're actually. This may end up sounding crazy. Oh, there you go.
That might be a good place to check over there at the AT Woods.
We're going to the city this weekend on Saturday.
Are you crazy?
Maybe.
Take your stun gun for the crowd control. Good night. You're a little nuts.
Well, it's just to get food. There's certain foods we can't find here right now.
Yeah.
And so
you going to like a Sam's or
Costco?
Costco? Oh man, that's gonna be insane, dude.
For sure, Costco.
That's gonna be insane. Well, have fun with that.
Yeah, it's a horrific idea.
I don't know what you're thinking, but
Not.
have fun. You need to come up with a
Me
game
and
plan.
mother, wife, and sister.
You need to come up with a game plan, okay? Like,
Well, now-
okay.
now, Jared.
No. You go in there and you go, okay. I'm going to this place to get this, and then
No,
we'll
no.
meet right here.
You don't understand.
All
Two
for
of these
one.
Two of these people have never been there.
Oh, no.
Yeah,
And you're going to introduce them on, like, the day before Christmas Eve?
correct.
You are crazy.
Correct.
And you're going with 2 women.
Three.
And they're 3 women. They're going to be all frazzled and mad and stuff when they leave that store.
Listen,
And you're going to have to deal with it on the
No.
drive home.
that you don't know the people I'm going with very well. They don't really get frazzled.
I would hope not.
If it all comes down to it, then I'll just sit there and eat that $1 pizza or whatever it is.
Hey, get a hot dog if you're going to
Yeah.
Costco. Get a hot dog. Yeah. Are you driving?
Oh, I'm sure I'll
You're
have
going
to
be the
drive.
one driving? Darn.
Absolutely.
There's other stuff you can get. Sit in the back seat. Enjoy the ride home.
No, you just got served by one of the folks going,
Ooh.
mind your own business,
Ooh. I got served.
by my mother.
Oh, come on.
It's going to be a blast.
Sounds
We
fun.
might even have to go to another place if we can't find everything we need. Kara's mothership. Like literally when we get over there toward this store.
Got to go.
Oh my gosh, it's like the car starts. It's almost like ET phone home.
What store that would it be? Trader Joe's? 'Cause
No,
we
it's
always
not.
have to go out of our way to go to Trader
It's
Joe's.
not that. It's similar but different. It's not that one.
Is it Aldi?
Nope. Whole Foods.
Whole Foods. That's yeah.
It's like her heart starts glowing like ET. It's wild how that happens.
Yep.
All right, tonight. Let's talk about tonight. Oklahoma. Well, I mentioned the other day. Just shocking, the way that the Sooners basketball team has started. Number 7 in the country, still undefeated. One of what? 6 undefeateds left. 4 undefeateds left.
4, I believe. I can't tell you who. They're probably, you look on the rankings, you'll find them.
Against number 11, North Carolina. It's in Carolina. North Carolina has maybe the best post guy in Baycott going right now. So that's going to be a tough challenge. You look at the rankings, I'm sure this is probably the best team that Oklahoma has played so far. Yeah, you got Ole Miss, James Madison, Sooners, and Houston as undefeateds to this point.
Yeah.
It's a great challenge, and I just can't believe that we're here game 11. Oklahoma's in the top 10 and still haven't suffered a loss, considering what we had seen in the first couple of years of what Porter Moser was bringing to the table. I think the one thing that obviously just jumps off the screen when you watch Oklahoma is the amount of athleticism that has been added to this team versus the first couple of iterations of Porter Moser OU basketball.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to watch. As a basketball fan, just the up and down run and gun style that they play is a lot of fun. The matchup tonight, clearly this is going to be OU's biggest test. Before that was maybe Arkansas. And speaking of which, Carolina, they have not shied away from competition, from testing themselves with a preseason slate or a pre-conference slate of Villanova. I mentioned Arkansas. And then back-to-backs against UConn and Kentucky. So that record that they show you at 7-3, is pretty. The three's pretty impressive, if that makes sense.
Yeah, and Tennessee's on there too.
They've beaten Tennessee.
Yeah.
They have already played one conference game against Florida State and beat them. So they may be a little bit more battle-tested than Oklahoma. I don't know. Arkansas might – I would hope that they pick it up because that would look pretty good on anybody's resume, North Carolina or Oklahoma. I don't know how good they are or Providence.
Well,
but,
Providence beat – that's what I was going to say. Last night was a huge night.
Is that what you're alluding to?
Yeah, Providence beat number 6 Marquette 72-57 just last night.
72-57. Wow.
And the Sooners, if you don't remember, beat Providence 72-51. So that's becoming a more of a feather in Oklahoma's cap for sure when you start looking down the line.
I really wish OU got USC when Bronny was playing. You know, he wasn't playing in that game, and they had the score at the buzzer to win, basically.
And USC's fallen down.
Even with Bronny, they haven't won.
Well, it's because Bronny's not any good.
Thank you. You know, I said that once, and somebody ripped me apart on Twitter.
It's pretty simple. Bronny's not any good. How hard is it?
I said it once, and I got
tore
apart.
Bryce might be good.
That guy's good.
Bronny,
he was playing when USC played Oklahoma.
Huh?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm thinking of another guy.
Yeah, I'm
thinking of another player on USC.
LeBron's other
You're thinking
son.
of his other son. My apologies. I was thinking of another guy. I thought you were talking about what's his name? I'll have to look him up. They say he's a first-round dude.
USC, Iowa look to be going down. Wins that Oklahoma's had in the non-conference. They look to be kind of spiraling downward, whereas I think Arkansas and Providence, obviously,
Ellis. I'm thinking of a guy named Ellis.
are going to start
go up.
I think those will look like better wins at the end of the season than maybe they do right now. Arkansas especially. What in the world's going on? It was a top 10 preseason type team, and they have just struggled.
They went and beat Duke, but who knows what Duke is at 7-3.
Talented.
They're always going to be good. I mean, they're good. They're Duke. They're going to have guys. But we'll see.
So I mean,
but Oklahoma, this big opportunity for Oklahoma tonight. Big opportunity.
If Oklahoma wins tonight, they're going to finish the non-conference slate undefeated, right?
Yeah, there's no challenge after
There's
that.
no challenge in the middle.
Before Iowa State?
Yeah. So you've got this game, then Central Arkansas, Monmouth. Those you assume are 2 wins. And who in the world would have had the Sooners 13-0 headed into the Big 12? A clear top 10 team, at least so far. And then we'll see what they can do in the conference. I'm shocked. This, as much as people are kind of watching the Thunder and waiting on the bottom to fall out, they've played 25 games in the NBA. The bottom isn't falling out. They may not be the 2 seed, but they're not going to be a team that doesn't make the play-in. It feels like people are just waiting. Outside of injuries are a totally different thing, but as far as just the way that team is constructed and the quality of play, that's not going to happen. With OU, I'm still waiting on them to become Porter Mosier's teams from the past, and maybe it won't. I mean, is this really going to be like a top 4 seed in the NCAA tournament?
Right now, bracketology has them at 2.
A 2. I don't know. I just
and people need to keep in mind that bracketology is not a projection. It's based on what they've done so far, right?
Yeah, it's now.
It's not what they think it will be at the end of the year, but they've. No, I'm with you. I've been kind of. That's why I said that a couple weeks ago. Like, I maybe excited now. I can use. I didn't want to get excited. Now, this is nice. It's fun. But I'm still kind of apprehensive. Like, when's this going to stop? When's this going to end? And even if they lose tonight, really pay attention on how they lose. Or does North Carolina win? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it's just one game. I mean,
yeah.
The conference is what I'm looking at more than just tonight.
Right.
I mean, tonight's a feather in the cap if you can get the win. There's no doubt about that. But from the difficulty in this league, I would – Kansas, Houston, Baylor, seemingly all above Oklahoma for sure. Where does Texas fall in that list? Where does BYU?
Yeah, what's going on with Texas?
What are they? They just there's and then there's a bunch of other teams. It's just like, how am I supposed to really trust this until you see it? And so I guess that's maybe where I'm at. Just see what happens. It's cool.
Yeah.
I mean, at this point, it would have to be an absolute catastrophe in the Big 12 for this team not to make the NCAA tournament. Because at very worst, you're talking about 12-1 going into the league. If you win half the games in the league, that's 21-10. That's making the tournament in the Big 12, because that finishes you where in the Big 12? Top half, I'm sure.
Yeah.
And with the non-conference wins that they've been able to get, the Sooners, their resume is going to look pretty darn good. In the toughest league in America, with winning some of those games that they haven't been able. The last couple of years, seems like we're talking about, oh my gosh, they have a loss to just some god-awful team that really kind of is a black mark on any chance that they might have had down the stretch of the Big 12 schedule. This year, everything's glowing. Because even a loss tonight, that's going to be a quad one loss.
Yeah.
And you're going to have plenty of those in the Big 12 as well, and obviously chances at those wins.
Looks like the fans are responding. I saw a post yesterday that the game against Kansas and Norman, all the single tickets have been sold out. And that's not until mid-February. Now, how many are those are Kansas fans? But still, I mean, there's interest there. I think you look that far ahead and people are interested. Like, okay, that's kind of what I was talking about yesterday. Was okay, what game could I go to? Now I want to see them. I want to go there and watch them and check them out. So, and that's key too. I mean, that's what Porter Moser's been kind of banking on is the crowd showing up. Because that is a difference in college basketball. When you get a packed crowd and everything, and it 100% helps if you're winning. So if they go get a win tonight, you're going to see Lloyd Noble a little bit more more attended.
The Central Arkansas Monmouth is what it is, but that first conference game on a Saturday against Iowa State, a 5 o'clock start, you could see a pretty good crowd, if not really full Lloyd Noble Center crowd. For that one,
and they keep winning, and when Texas comes to town, sure.
Yeah, those games, the Texas, Kansas, OSU are always going to have a good
fans,
crowd.
Yeah.
What I always look at is, okay, what's Iowa State bringing? What's Tech bringing? BYU. You know what I'm saying? Just those obviously Houston is going to be a big one because of Kelvin coming back.
That's going to be an emotional night.
Right.
It's going to be a fun night.
So it's very interesting. It's just completely different than when you look up.
At what point do we say? Do we say it tomorrow if they go and win? Do we have to wait until they, start 2-0 in the Big 12 and go to Lawrence and give them a fight? I mean, at what point do we say they're real?
I think it's a tournament team already.
I agree there. I just want are they a 2-seed team? Are they a?
I'm not going to believe that.
Are they top 4 seed team in that realm of conversation? Or what do we? Because that goes back to that question. Like we're waiting for the bottom to drop out. We're waiting for the crevice, the lull of a season. We're waiting for it. But at what point do we go? We look around, and go, okay, they're a good team. They're a top 10 team. Well, they're good. Or are they just a product of their weak schedule so far?
I don't think it's been a week. That's the whole point, though. I don't know how weak it's been.
That's what I'm saying, too. With Arkansas and Providence, Providence, that's good to see them win.
Iowa,
USC, they're going to get all the attention because of Bronny, but are they really good?
I think you get down to, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. First 7 games in conference, 4 of those are at home. And none of the 4, I don't think, are games that you think Oklahoma can't win. Iowa State, West Virginia, Texas, and Texas Tech. You win those 4 and maybe one other of the road games at TCU or at Cincinnati if you assume Kansas is a loss. 5-2 in the first 7 Big 12 games to go along with either 13-0 and 12-1. That's pretty. That about then is when I'm going to go, wow, this team is fighting for a top 4 type seed in the tournament. At least on they're going to be definitely on that track. If they can start, that's kind of where I'm at. Like the end of January, there's 8 games in the conference because then at Kansas State. If they're 5-3, 6-2 through those first 8, no matter what happens tonight, at 6-2, you could be 19-3 Yeah, that's that's a strong performance.
It was very nice to, when we started the year, the preseason picks for the Big 12, and OU and OSU was down there at the bottom.
You know who else was?
So who else?
You know who was number 12?
BYU.
12 and 13 was Oklahoma and BYU preseason.
Yeah.
And now they're 2 and 3.
Yeah, but my point to this is now I could only hope that Oklahoma State can find a way to turn it around. I mean, they're 5-5, and they're going to need a lot of work. But it's nice that an in-state team is relevant, at least at this point.
Yeah, it's been
where
since
people are talking about them. And
been since Cade Cunningham's year that either team has really been all that relevant.
Yeah.
Cade or Trey, back for
one of those
for
two,
each team.
Yeah. But that's because of a superstar. This is like it's a collective group, and it's a fun team. And there's any novice fan could always tell you who Trey Young was, but you guys say, "Oh, okay, well, who's leading scorer for OU?" They go, I know Porter Moser's their coach. That's all I know."
Do they?
I'm
not sure if that's true.
That's true.
I'm not sure if that's true.
No, it's nice. I hope they can keep it going. Hope tonight is. I'll be front and center watching that one with the popcorn. I can't wait.
It'll be a fun one.
It's going to be fun.
All right, when we take a break, we'll kind of update the goings of signing day for Oklahoma and Oklahoma State. And then I'm going to make everybody the college football czar. You change the sport however you want to make it better. It is National Signing Day. It's a day that used to be like Christmas Eve in February, right? Or Christmas Day in February for college football fans. Been moved up to December. We talked about that yesterday, changing the calendar and how it's with the portal and the calendar, it's become a little bit, it's kind of lost its significance a little bit. But in a lot of people's minds, I'm not necessarily one of those, but I get it. It's not the end-all, be-all like it once was when the only option that you had to supplement your roster was here on signing day. Now that kind of goes along with the portal. So far, no surprises for the in-state schools. Oklahoma State has already inked 16 out of the 17 commits that they had. Just looking on Rivals, Cowboys all the way down at 55th in the team rankings. That's always, or it's been a huge point of contention for the OSU fans ever since maybe Mike Holder talked about how he didn't think Gundy was with it enough, almost didn't try hard enough, didn't put out enough effort to recruit. The one thing I would say to that, while maybe that's true, maybe it's not true, I do know this: Oklahoma State's consistently below the top 25 in these recruiting classes, and they consistently churn out top 25 teams. And so whether or not it's just taking who they can get and just making them better once they get on campus, whatever that is, Oklahoma State hasn't needed top 25 recruiting classes to be playing for conference titles.
Right.
And so, and that, of course, that then leads to but what if they had them? Would they be able to be not only playing for, but winning these conference titles?
Yeah.
It's not a good, at least just looking on Rivals. I just pulled it up first. But when you look at some of the teams around Oklahoma State, one that is kind of surprising, in kind of a bad way, Washington is number 51. That seems pretty wild, doesn't it, considering the season that they've had? But some other teams that are ahead of Oklahoma State: West Virginia, Syracuse, Brigham Young, Iowa State, Cincinnati, Kansas, Wake Forest, Illinois, Duke, Maryland. Here's a shocker: Vanderbilt. Just a bunch of names that have no business being on the same level as OSU as far as team success goes over the last 15 to 20 years, yet are ahead of Oklahoma State in the recruiting rankings. It's just it's a wild thing when you start looking at this stuff right now. And then
they could still hang their hat on of like everything you said.
Development.
They develop them, but that's a good point to bring up. Is what if you had higher ranked recruiting classes? Would 2011 be a little different? Well,
but back then it is funny because back then, they were stacking in number 21, number 22. inside of top 30 pretty well year by year. And guess what? They had the best team they ever had. Right? I mean, so as much as nobody wants to kind of equate success with recruiting rankings, there is a definite tie into it. It may not be the end-all, be-all, but when we get done today and you look at the top 10 teams in the recruiting rankings, you're going to find the best teams in college football.
Yeah.
16 of 17 for Oklahoma State, still waiting on one last signature. Oklahoma-wise, they're signing a way bigger class. They've 28 commits going into the day. Let's see, when we went on air, there was 17 already signed. Since then, let's see, Michael Hawkins, so that's 18. Eli Bowen is 19. Devin Jordan, 20. J.J. Newcomb, 21. And Jaden Hardy, 22. So still waiting on 6 signatures to flow into the offices in Norman. I think the one, and it's just because of PTSD with Sooner fans over the last few years, I know the one that everyone's going to be holding their breath until it actually makes it in is going to be David Stone. Defensive lineman, grew up in Oklahoma, went to IMG. His buddy Jaden Jackson has already signed, so that's a good sign. As far as, I mean, there's no – the thing is there's no smoke about any of these guys potentially flipping in this class for OU right now, and there's really no Peyton Bowen type drama that's expected on the other side of things as well. It feels like it's going to be a boring, nothing signing day, which I think that's exactly what Brent Venables is hoping for.
Yeah, an uneventful top 10 day. And you're right about Stone. I haven't heard anything about him wavering or reconsidering or anything. I think he has like a big signing ceremony planned from what I've heard. But yeah, it goes back to yesterday, kind of talking about, the excitement level of this day has gone away for some, for me, and but at the end of the day, I still will go back and go, okay, what do the final recruiting rankings look like? Because we do believe that matters. When you have a consistent top 10 recruiting class year in, year out, that does reflect on the field to some extent. And, you know how I feel about transfer portal. That's why it's not exciting very much, because I wonder, well, they're signing today, but will they leave next year? And but you would hope you get those Ethan Downs type kids that are OU committed, that will never waver and want to stay there. And I got this feeling that Stone's kind of that guy. The way when he made his verbal, and he has been 100% OU with his tweets and his activity on social media. But again, it's kind of sad. I missed when this day was exciting. And anymore, it's just kind of, well, it is what it is. We'll see if all these guys stick around.
Yeah, but I'll maintain, and I truly believe this. Championships are not won in the portal. Championships are won on this day. And I think if you look at who's winning them and who's been winning them, it's undeniable that's true. It's undeniable so far. Now, as we've seen, teams are completely revamping rosters through the portal. Colorado being one of those each and every year, it seems like. I will never believe that's the way to do it until somebody proves it's a lasting thing. Not even just a 1 year, like flash in the pan type thing.
Right.
I just won't believe it. I think a lot more goes in to winning those titles from just a buy-in standpoint, a cohesion, a team aspect of it that you just don't get switching out your whole roster year by year by year by year by year. I just won't believe it until it's proven me wrong. And even then I'll probably go, it's just luck. Now, is it a great supplement? Absolutely.
Well, we were talking about yesterday about, there's not enough sample size to see if this works or doesn't work. The constant relying on the portal. And if we're going to compare it to anything, why aren't we comparing it to the NFL? Because it's kind of a mini pro model in a way. And even in the NFL, you're not seeing massive turnover year in, year out with continued success in franchises. The best franchises have longevity at, say, their quarterback position, at their wide receiver position, their offensive line, defensive line. I mean, how long? Lane Johnson's been in Philly his entire career, right? And Kelsey too, Jason Kelsey. So, and I mean, maybe that's our answer we're looking for. Why this proves that it doesn't work to constantly flip your roster over through the portal year in and year out, and think you're going to have success. When just look at the NFL.
Well, there's just so many fewer players, though. 55 versus 85.
That's true. That's true.
But
you can.
But how
see
much
what
of
you can
those?
see
But how much
there
of those extra 30 are just the ones that never pan out?
Yeah.
And get kind of processed anyway. Okay.
My point is,
we can use all
you
this.
see these quarterbacks in college, and they'll go to place for 1 year. I mean, we've seen these well-traveled quarterbacks that go from school to school to school to school.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Casey Thompson. What school is he going to wind up at next year? He's in the portal again. Am I right?
Mm-hmm.
And it's not working for him.
Well, it depends on what working is.
Winning.
I mean, he's kind of won. But here's the truth of it. The high-end best ones don't do this.
No, they do not.
They don't end up all over the place. Multiple times. Now, they might go from one situation to another. I mean, I was talking with one of our fine sponsors, Tyler, last night, and he was talking about Bo Nix, and he was like, yeah, Bo Nix got better. He left the SEC. It's like, well, that's a fair point, I suppose. Started playing Pac-12 defenses and not SEC defenses.
But what about Penix Jr.? Wasn't he at Nebraska?
He was at Indiana.
Oh, that's right, Indiana.
And he had a bunch of injuries. He was a little different. I mean, if you look back, he's been around forever, and he didn't really play more than maybe 2 of 5 or 6 seasons completely healthy at Indiana or even at Washington. So he was kind of an injury guy in some ways that bounced around. But even then, he didn't bounce around. He went from one to another. Let's say once you get to about your third school as a quarterback, you're not making it. It's a huge warning sign. And how many of these guys did the same thing in high school? Bounced around before they ever got there.
Yeah, that's true too. The high school thing.
You see those guys bouncing around. Do you think the NIL transfer portal gives college football more parity? I think it has so far. In a lot of ways. And I'm not even sure why. Maybe it's just the quarterbacks being able to, find a new home that suits them better than what they thought. And there's so much change in coaching, and not only just at the head coaching spot, but there's change everywhere. And before, you kind of had to sit there and ride it out. Now, your offense coordinator leaves, you might just go with them or go somewhere else that better suits than what is brought in. That was obviously the fear for a bunch of Oklahoma fans. When Levy went, it was like, oh my gosh, there goes Jackson Arnold. He stayed. But that's just your immediate reaction to a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to make you the college football czar. You have the hammer. You have the gavel to make college football, remake it however you choose. What do you do?
Okay, remember, I'm the czar, right?
You're the czar.
What I say is final.
It is. It's up to you.
All right, well, I've been racking my brain about this, how to best answer this question, and I think it starts with more regulation on the portal. And where it's right now, it's the Wild West. It's so free. Everybody goes everywhere where they want to go. I think there needs to be like a how do you make it fair? But why college football was so great is why this day was so exciting. Whenever this day was when you knew a guy put ink to paper, you got him. He was more committed than what they are now. So through the portal, how do you make that? I think that it should be more of a. I've always liked the baseball rule. What is that baseball rule? Where if you commit to a school, you're there.
Well, you have the draft where you have to go 3 years before you can go to the draft.
You have to go 3 years before you go to the draft. Yeah. But I think the overall answer is just better regulation on the portal.
He's in.
Who's that?
David Stone.
Oh, darn. I was messing with my friend saying that he's wavering.
He's in.
I just got a tweet, too. They're blowing up my phone. You're wrong.
Yeah.
I was really wanting to make them nervous.
Yeah. No, I think 9:30 was his signing day ceremony time.
I think he
the
was
whole time.
waiting on a signing day thing. No, better regulation of the transfer portal. But I also think it would be good if you commit to a school and you're all in, and then you're there for a year and the coach takes another job. You know, we always hear about how the kids are the victims in those situations. The kids are just like, wait a minute, maybe that's where you have, okay, you got a situation where your coach left. You can go to the portal and find a better home. But I'd just like to see these kids held more accountable to a school that they commit to and stay there just a little longer. But the regulation of the portal. Maybe have it where you could only go into the portal so many times. I mentioned the Casey Thompson thing. It gets to the point it's laughable. Where people go, oh, well, you're here now. Where are you going to be next year? Oh, this is your 8th year of college football because you got a waiver and da-da-da. So maybe, you only have 2 portal entries. That's it. Use them wisely.
Yeah, what about if you get hurt like he did twice?
Well, that's what I'm talking about, special situations where, okay, yeah, you got hurt. I get it, okay. If you're just a guy just can't be happy anywhere, there's been that situation too.
Yeah, it's just so hard to hold these kids accountable when the damn coaches aren't held accountable for nothing.
I know, that's why I said the coach thing. They need to be held accountable too.
I mean,
maybe more accountability is my overall answer in college.
I like what Sam's got here for me.
Okay.
As far as the NIL and the portal, I would change it. So first thing I would do, you get 1 portal entry for free. After that, if you jump back in there, you have to set a year like you always had to. And there's almost part of me that wants to put in the caveat: if you transfer within the league, you have to sit a year. If you but here's why I think I might go away from that, because I've done the whole thing, and so that's going to be hard to. We'll get there. Why I've kind of backed away from that, but open the portal the day after the national title game.
Yeah, that was
not right
be my
now.
That was going to be my next one. Yeah.
So open the portal the day after the national title game. You have the 45-day window that goes through second signing day. Actually, that would be there till I would still have that second signing day in February, but I would move today, National Signing Day. I would move that to July. For kids, yeah. I mean, the problem there is visits would have to change. You'd have to do a bunch of those visits as a junior and not a senior, unless you wanted to wait till February. That's kind of because there's a ton of these kids that know in the summer before they're seniors where they're going. And if that's the case, put them in, let them sign, and then I think it makes it easier on everybody in the sport. Because you don't just have those kids committed. You've got those kids inked, okay? And then with some of these states, Missouri being the obvious one around here, that have now gone to the NIL being allowed to – it might help a bunch of these teams. Missouri might have a boon here. Because then instead of Will Winery making money today, he could have been – if he knew he wanted to go to Missouri back in July, ink it. And then he can be making NIL as a senior in high school, which is crazy, but that's just that's the world we live in. That's not going away.
Yeah.
Right?
Right. And
so have that there. That gives peace of mind to the kid. He's got his spot locked with certain team. You're not going to be over-recruited during the season. So you're locked in, coach is locked in, and maybe this brings the excitement back to signing day a little bit in February, because both sides of this equation may be not as willing to, quote-unquote, commit to each other. But for the ones that are for sure, let it go. All right, so that's the portal, the signing day, changing the calendar part of this. The other part of this, as the college footballs are, is fixing the madness that is college conference realignment, playoff, and all that. So here's what I would do. I would have 8 8-team conferences. So for a total of 64, okay? Then everybody could play 3 non-conference games against whoever they want to. But since you only have 10 total games, the playoffs can start obviously a little bit earlier and end a little bit earlier, end on what I feel like is the day it ought to end. So you play your 7 conference games. The 8 winners of those conferences go to the playoff. That's your play. You can't kick out an undefeated team because they won their conference. They're in. That's the rules. You have an 8-team playoff.
Easy. Yeah.
Round 1 would occur on Conference Championship Saturday. Or maybe even Friday and Saturday because you're going to have 4 games. And there's also going to be some other games coming here too. And maybe you play the other ones Friday, all 4 Saturday, because there's 4 different windows. We could get the playoff games done on one day. But those are at the higher seeded team. So home games in the playoffs for the first round. Everybody that's not in Division I per se, the 64 teams that start, how you'd start those, I don't care. Maybe the top 64 in the rankings this year, whatever it is. Everybody else is down, and it's about the exact same amount of teams. There's like 130. So we're pretty close to having 64 and 64, and having the same model for Division II. Well, so the 8 best teams go to the playoffs. The 8 worst teams get kicked down. And then the winners of those 8 conferences in Division II, they are automatically coming up to the big boy football, but they have a playoff as well. So we can kind of fill some spots in here with where bowl games used to be.
Yeah.
We can fill these in with the Division II playoffs. And why do we have playoffs for Division II? Because whoever wins that then gets to choose which conference they go into, right? And now the 8, they'll be more geographically aligned than what we have right now, be the kind of the point of it. So you play conference championship weekend, first round of playoffs, home fields. Skip a week, have a week off, and maybe that's where you could start putting in the Division II playoffs, right? On those off weeks, because you'd have a first round off week, semifinals off week, and then the championship game is on New Year's Day. And I would personally put it at the Rose Bowl every single year, because to me, there's nothing more college football than that game at the Rose Bowl starting in the afternoon and finishing under the light. I think that's just the perfect time.
Yes.
Now, TV would never allow this because it's not prime time or what have you, but I'm the damn czar, so I can do whatever I want. And that's how I do it. That way, you break away, football could break away. Chip Kelly had such great insight to this. You see him yesterday?
He said this after their bowl game.
Was it after? Okay,
it was a post-game presser
about why the other teams have to change conferences just because football. That is so true.
Yeah.
Why does the Pac-12 have to split up all the other sports that, quite frankly, a lot of the Pac-12 schools only care about is the others? Football be damned in some of those places. Why can't they keep playing each other in water polo or whatever it is?
Yeah.
Just because of football. And to me, this allows football to kind of become its own thing, become its own entity outside of the NCAA. And because you have a czar, you have the czar making the rules. Now, he can have a committee. He's like the head of the board or whatever. But almost that's why you'd have to trust somebody to make the right choices if you had a czar. And that leads to the next question. If you could stamp a czar, who would you make it be?
Oh, boy. Man, if Mike Leach was still alive, I'd say him. Yeah, who would want that job, though?
Yeah, I know. This was the conversation we had around the table last night.
Because it's gonna bring the same criticism just like Goodell gets, or Silver or whoever.
So what you'd have to do, that you would almost have to pick a guy that is universally respected with common sense opinions.
Yeah.
I think there's a guy out there, and I gotta give it up to my man Brooks Robertson at the Chiropractic Co. He thought of this guy. I had a different guy in mind, which I still think would be. I said Clay Travis.
Oh, that would be great.
Man, his opinions on college football are usually pretty spot on with what I think.
Yeah.
I think he would be pretty good. But I think Brooks may have even had one better, but he's got a job right now that wouldn't allow him to be the czar of college football.
Who's that?
Nick Saban.
Oh, wow. Well, I kind of went in that same vein. Why not Greg Sankey?
Okay.
Because naturally you're going to say, if someone asks who would be the guy, it would be someone with a heck of a lot of power in college football. And why not a commissioner, say from the Big Ten or, in this case, the SEC? And if you're going to go which one over the other, Greg Sankey. He has guided the SEC into this incredible conference. He's making it better by bringing in OU and Texas in the 16-team league, which everyone seems to be incredibly excited about. Why not give him the reins to just take over all of college football and make it as great as he's made the SEC? Well,
he doesn't. I mean, he's got a job right now, but his job would be a lot different in my model because you would have, maybe you still have 4 conferences. They're just maybe they're 4 16-team conferences split up.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't want divisions. I don't want to play it. I want you to play your part. That way, because you have 7 games. And you only end up with 10 instead of. I mean, next year there could be 17. See, in my model, you only play 13 if you're the national title, and if you're in the national title game. And so you also have these games for the Division II. They have an 18 playoff, and then so whoever wins that playoff gets to choose where they want to go. I want to go there, and so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And so you still have. So after the first round of the Division II playoffs, you're going to have 4 losers, right? Well, they keep playing because you got to settle out the top 8, right? So you always have more, and this kind of fills the need for bowl games by having those. But it matters, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
These games matter instead of just being fluff. If James Madison beats Appy State, then James Madison can go in what's perceived to be a tougher or a weaker league and maybe have a chance to gain a foothold. And see, and I also think that this could give some of those smaller schools that maybe start out outside of the 64, but it gives them a better chance to stick when they get there because of the advantages that they'll enjoy money-wise.
Yeah.
You had to vote for Joe C. to be, you know what? There is a guy that doesn't have a job that'd be good at it. Sam's on the text line. He's got a good one. Bob Stoops. Be right up his alley.
Yeah.
He's not doing nothing. Selling vodka and being the football czar.
I can't think of anybody else.
I
Those
like
are all
the
good
idea.
names.
Part of me likes the idea of it being a coach. Part of me doesn't. If it's some coaches are open-minded. Some sound like the guy that you'll hear here in just a little bit, where it's you're not changing his mind no matter what. When we can't have that,
Right.
I don't mind the old school mentality as long as you can see where it's going. I don't need stuck in the 70s.
Yeah.
It's a fascinating topic. We could literally talk about every day the entire show. Still 16 of 17 for OSU. I think they're still waiting on one last signature. Let me update this and see. Yeah, they're still at 16 of 17. Oklahoma, 25 of 27 already inked by 10 o'clock. Taylor Tatum and Eugene Brooks. Tatum is the number 1 running back in America from, what is it called? Longview, Texas. And Brooks is an offensive lineman from on the East Coast. I think Virginia maybe. Anyway, that's the last two. And question on the text line was, have there been any surprises yet? I don't know if it's a surprise now, but it was a surprise over the weekend, and probably the biggest storyline coming out of signing day, at least so far, is going to be what Matt Rule did in flipping Dylan Raiola from Georgia to Nebraska. Number 2 player overall. He was a Nebraska legacy, right? Because I think Dominic Raiola is his dad, the one that played offensive line for the Huskers and then went crazy in the NFL. He had all kinds of craziness with the Lions in certain spots. But as far as nationally, I think that will be the story.
Yeah.
There's a chance that Bama has a humongous day today with some decisions being made and maybe a couple that end up flipping their way. But for the state schools, I think no drama is a great day.
Oh, yeah.
David Stone, I know a lot of Missouri fans were riling up Oklahoma fans with that David Stone talk because of Winery. That was never happening. David Stone was always a Sooner.
Yeah. You
knew it when Jaden Jackson committed from IMG before Stone even announced where he was going. As soon as Jaden Jackson committed to Oklahoma, you knew that that's where David Stone was going. That's why he was going to Oklahoma,
right?
Was to play with David Stone. So far, the Raiola thing is a big one nationally. I think, to me, the storylines that I think you're going to hear at the end of the day and into tomorrow morning when you start reading, the obituary of this year's signing day, it's going to be that. I think it's going to be Bama. And I think Dion, what he can muster. Not only through the portal, but then also today. Then there's a chance that he makes some waves with a couple of guys, the same flashy ones. And I'm interested to see what happens out west, because it seems like a bunch of rats are jumping off that ship, right?
Yeah. Of course, we're hyper focused in on it because of the history with Lincoln Riley.
He's done a good job in the portal. I'm going to tell you, he's lost, but he's got some back, right?
He'll go. It doesn't bother him. He just, I'll go to the portal. I'll find other guys.
Yeah, he's lost in the portal, but he's brought him back big time.
But again, what does that mean? Is that good or bad? And last year or this past season for USC, it was not good. So what is that? We're still waiting for, the constant results here. And if they have another bad year, his philosophy either has got to change or USC might go in a different direction.
Yeah, there's no chance he's getting fired.
Zero. With as much money he's getting paid?
Zero. That's not going to happen yet. Here's why everybody's worried about David Stone. And I know, rankings, whatever. But he's the 3rd highest graded defensive player to sign out of high school in history of Oklahoma. And that, of course, doesn't date back all the way through football. I get it. Those recruiting rankings are more kind of 21st century.
Yeah.
But at least according to that, the guys that who's ahead of him?
No. Who?
Tommy Harris and DeMarcus Granger. One of those is not like the other. One of those is borderline Hall of Famer in the NFL. The other stole coats from Burlington Coat Factory. And then P.J. Adebaware from last year right behind David Stone as far as the ranking. So,
guys you got to get if you're going to the SEC.
100%.
Got to get those guys.
100%.
They got to be what they're projected to be.
So we had a question yesterday on the text line, kind of wrap up things today, and it was, will Anadarko, specifically Coach Shumpert, do what he did last year in stalling against Weatherford? The answer was he didn't, and the answer is he should have. Weatherford beat Anadarko. It's number 1 against number 6 in Class 4A boys, 66-46. Here's the truth. That's good luck with the athleticism and the size of Weatherford.
Yeah.
You're going to have to do something unconventional to beat them. You can't just play basketball because they're better at basketball than you. Right?
Yeah,
that's just the truth.
Yeah.
You're going to have to do something unconventional. Coach Shumpert tried it last year. Guess what? If you're him, what would you rather do? Get beat 20 on your home floor or have a shot at the end to beat them on their home floor? No matter what anybody thinks. One of those philosophies work better than the other. And I'll still go back to, it wasn't just a one-sided thing. If Weatherford didn't like it, they could have came out and guarded them and made them give up the ball. And they chose not to.
True.
But that was a question we had yesterday. Would he do it again? The answer was no, and Weatherford won by 20. I have figured out the...
Do you think that's his way of saying, see, I did it last year. He gave me a shot. I didn't do it this year. This is what happens.
Or he won't do it in the regular season. He will do it in the playoffs if they see. Because remember, they met in the playoffs.
They did meet in the playoffs.
And it was like, will he do it? Will he do it? And the answer was no, and Weatherford blew him out.
I tell you what it did do. Got a lot of people to watch that game last night. See what would happen, myself included.
Yeah, just to see. I have figured out the NFC East tiebreak situation.
Yeah, what is that?
So right now, if both teams win out, they would each end up 13-4. Okay, and you'd have to go to the fifth tiebreaker. So number one tiebreaker is head to head. Well, they split. Number two is division record. Well, they would beat everybody but the split with each other, so that division record would be the exact same thing. Number three would be the common game. So like when division and then whoever you played outside division, that record would be the same. Number four is conference record. That record would be the same. So that gets down now to strength of victory, number 5. Right now, if the season ended today, Philadelphia would have the advantage of strength of victory over Dallas. So what that means, if you're a Cowboys fan, you root against Arizona, Minnesota, Tampa, Kansas City, and Buffalo. Those are 5 teams that Philly has beaten that Dallas hasn't. Some of them they didn't even play. Some of them they did, right?
Right.
So you root against Arizona, Minnesota, Tampa Bay, Kansas City, and Buffalo. Root for them to lose. And you root for the Jets, the Chargers, Carolina, Detroit, and Seattle to win. That's how it goes. Because those last 5 are teams that Dallas has beaten.
Yeah, write all that down.
I'm gonna save this.
Yeah, save that.
Because it's going to be changing on a weekly basis.
It is. Or can we just simply root for the Giants?
Yeah, I mean, if the Giants could win, and Tommy DeVito, speaking of him.
Yeah.
So did you see the story?
Something about his fee was too high.
So he had made a deal with this pizza joint, Canigliero's or something like that, in Jersey, and they were gonna pay him $10,000 to come in for 2 hours and sign 250 autographs.
Okay, pretty good deal.
One-time deal. Well, they won that Monday night game a couple of weeks ago, and his agent, DeVito's agent, called back to the pizza shop and said, no, we don't have any kind of contract. That fee is now $20,000. And the pizza place said, well, come on, we're a mama papa here.
Yeah.
We ain't doing that,
Whoa, hey,
and say,
yo,
hey.
yo.
So the deal gets nixed, basically. But then yesterday, for nothing, Tommy DeVito went to the pizza place and hung out and helped do different stuff for a little PR. So way to go, Tommy DeVito.
Well,
and
good.
Hopefully that good karma of being a good dude leads you to a victory over the Philadelphia Eagles.
Amen.
Way to go, Tommy DeVito.
Amen.
All right.
Glad he made it right.
I think we hit everything.
Think so.
We got every single thing on this list. Oh, the NFL history.
Oh, what was that? Can you say it real quick?
I can. So this weekend, and this is courtesy of Todd Furman, who comes on these airwaves with Mark Rogers.
Right.
It's the first time since 1980, and I think that's when the stats started getting counted. Top 4 in point differential play this late in the season. This weekend, Cowboys, Miami, Ravens, Niners.
You've been listening to the Skinny on Sports podcast with Aaron Cow. Be sure to hit that subscribe button to get alerts of when the latest podcast is available. Thanks for listening.